Hello, I will be beginning my Module 2 lecture off of the movie that we watched. Um, my speakers are not always very great on this computer, so hopefully you can hear me. You may need to turn your volume up, but I'll try and talk loudly for it. So, the first concept that I chose from the text that is related to the movie was awareness. Now, awareness can be defined as the ability to be conscious of events and stimuli. Awareness determines what you pay attention to and how you carry on and out your intentions. And that is on page 60 of section 2.2. So according to the text, this works in the world because we take in information and depending on the individual, we perceive the information and apply it differently. So from the movie, when Fadi and his mother are going through security, Fadi was trying to get his mother's attention, but she was not aware of the money that was being given away. Because they were not allowed to keep the box through security, TSA was stopping them. Um, Fadi just said it can go because she was being barked at by a dog, so she was not aware of the situation going on behind her because she was preoccupied. Moving on to the second concept I chose, and this was beliefs. Now, beliefs can be defined as ideas based on our previous experiences and convictions and may not necessarily be based on logic or fact. This is on page 64. This works in the world in the fact that different people may view the same topic or event differently, and that can often lead to conflict. So, politics are a great example of this. If you've ever gotten in a political debate with your friends, um, that's just how beliefs they can cause conflicting issues. Thus, in the movie, Fadi's classmates had different political and cultural beliefs, which led to violent actions, especially in the classroom political debates. Um, so there's the example for beliefs. Moving on to my third concept, I chose values. Values can be defined as core concepts and ideas of what we consider good, bad, right, wrong, or what is worth sacrifice. This was on page 65. And this works in the world kind of in the fact that our interests play a role. So some value health more than others, such as Fadi's mother Muna and her diet. And the same was when Fadi was told to change clothes because style is valued in America differently. He was hanging around, I believe it was his cousin and her friend, and he was told to change clothes, so she grabbed him a little jacket to kind of fit in more in a beanie. So, and that kind of ties into perspective as well, and so how others perceive you, which can also tie into self-image. But there's an example. So that sums up the third concept. And moving on to my fourth, which is demographic traits. Demographic traits refer to the characteristics that make someone an individual, but that he or she has in common with others. And this is on page 91. This can be seen in the real world as using yourself. So I'm a 19-year-old male and a college student. Each of you have your own traits or demographics. However you identify as, if you're a college student or not. Those are all part of your demographic. In the movie, their demographic has changed. So there was a scene when Muna was speaking to Fadi on the couch, and they were speaking about how they were Americans now. So their demographic changed from, I believe, Palestinians of the West Bank to Americans, and they were having a conversation about that. So moving on to the fifth concept, hopefully I can say this correctly. I chose self-reflexivity. This can be defined as a process in which we see ourselves within our own cultural context, on page 66. This is also known as a looking in the mirror process. So if you've ever been to someone's house of a different culture, you may notice they had different customs of their household, different house rules, shoes on, shoes off, maybe that's different from your house. So that's kind of, and then that makes you think kind of about your own house rules or cultural customs. So there's where the looking in the mirror process kind of happens because you're kind of reflecting on your own, I guess, customs. And an example from the movie, when Muna was job searching at the banks, she had reflected on her experience, her, I believe, 10 years at home, and she was understanding that she was not really going to be able to get a job like that because things were just different in America. You can't just, walk in and get a job. It's a little different with demand. Um, And then moving on to my sixth concept here, I chose self-image, which kind of was tying into my values one. And this can be defined as how you see yourself and how you describe yourself to others, as on page 79. I think this ties into values because your values often reflect your self-image, and these include characteristics and personality traits, such as humor, whether you're confident or shy. And when Fadi moved to America and he changed his self-image, I think he saw himself as a teen who wanted to fit in. So he was reflecting on how he had changed and how he saw himself now, which was different than how he used to see himself, if you kind of know what I mean there. Then I wanted to throw in an extra one here, and that was conventions, which are customary forms and configurations that members expect. That is on page 87. A great example of this was during the very last scene of the movie. The principal came into the White Castle to speak to Muna, and she was just getting off her shift, so she invited him over to dinner. So they all went home, had dinner. Now, I'm sure that the customary forms and configurations for him are very different, considering he said he had Polish and Jewish heritage. So I'm sure that the Arabic heritage was very different for him. The food, the dancing, the hookah, but I thought that was a great example of how conventions are different and a great way to finish off the movie there. But that concludes my 7 concepts I had there. If you have any questions or replies, go ahead and drop them below. And that concludes my Module 2 second discussion. So thank you.